Good afternoon. Appreciate y'all being here. Just want to go over something that occurred at the Manatee County Corrections Facility last Sunday. Deputies working inside the facility noticed an inmate that appeared to be impaired, showing signs of impairment. They began to question him, take him to medical to determine what was wrong with him. That inmate was Adrian Conde. Conde was forthcoming about some things that he had taken in a search of his cell, revealed a vape pen containing THC, Delta 8, after it was tested. After that, deputies were called in, detectives were called in to check the pods. More vape pens were located during this search, and also a few eye drop containers that had a clear liquid in there that tested to be methamphetamine. So we knew that we had some meth in there at one point, and we knew we had THC, Delta 8, Delta 9, and the problem was we had to figure out how it was getting into the facility. As detectives started to talk to the inmates, one common name became familiar to all of us, and that was a nickname of Granny. Inmates would continue to tell the deputies that Granny, who worked in the kitchen, was bringing this contraband into the facility. She would then give the contraband to Corey Cruz, who is really the ringleader of this little drug operation inside of the jail. It was at that time that we determined that Granny was actually Miss Gretchen Ruprecht. Gretchen has been an employee with the Manatee County Sheriff's Office as a civilian employee in the kitchen for about a year and a half. She, at some point during her time here, became friends with Mr. Corey Cruz. Corey somehow convinced her to assist him in this drug operation. He would line up a contact outside of the jail somewhere in Manatee County for Gretchen to meet with his source. Gretchen would then get paid $25 a pop. We believe she was paid $100 for 4 different meats. She would bring in the contraband. This really consisted of, for the most part, vape pens with THC, some liquid meth, and at times also cigarettes. Since she worked in the kitchen, we found out Cruz also worked in the kitchen. That's how they met. She would bring the contraband inside of the facility. She would hide it on her person. She would walk into one of the coolers. She would hide that contraband in the cooler, and then Mr. Cruz would come in there later on to retrieve it, take it back to his cell. She disgraced the agency, and she really disgraced the men and women that she worked with at the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, who really do an outstanding job taking care of the inmates and feeding them and doing everything that we have to do. We arrested her last night on her way to work. She confessed to her involvement. She confessed that she had met a few times with this outside source, which we have identified, and we are now working. We're not going to name this person at this particular point, but we have located the outside source, and charges will be forthcoming on that person. So we will let you know at a later date. But she was honest with us that she felt that he was a friend and she wanted to help him. And that's about it. There's no logical reason. So Granny is now sitting in the jail eating the same food that she used to once prepare. And that's where we sit right now. We do have charges forthcoming. As Mr. Cruz will be charged with conspiracy to introduce methamphetamine into the county detention facility, also possession of controlled substance. Mr. Conde will also be charged with conspiracy to introduce THC into a county facility. and possession of a vape device upon the grounds of the facility. Mr. Cook will be charged with conspiracy to introduce methamphetamine into the county facility and also delivery of controlled substance into the facility. And Gretchen has been charged with introduction of THC into a county detention facility and introduction of a vape device into the county detention facility and also introduction of cigarettes into the county detention facility. That's where we sit right now. We will continue to work to apprehend the outside source. Detectives are working on that right now. And like I said, we'll get that information to you as soon as we can. Do you have any questions?
You talked about Cruz and Conde's involvement. What was Dalton Cook's involvement in this circle?
Dalton, all three of these inmates were friends on the outside. We're still trying to figure out. We believe that that Dalton Cook is somehow connected also with the financial end. You know, they can transfer money from commissaries outside. People can also put money into different commissaries. But he also was involved in the conspiracy to introduce meth into the facility.
Was Cruz in jail on drug-related charges?
Yes, ma'am. Several drug charges going back several years. He is currently waiting to go to trial. As you know, courts have been backed up for over a year now, as some of these men continue to wait to have their day in court. But now they will have another day in court, as these charges will also be filed on them as well.
Does Gretchen have any other background that would have led her to be involved in drugs, or she just wanted to help Corey?
No, absolutely not. For some reason, she fell for him. She wanted to help him. She thought that she was doing some good for him, and like I said, she's now sitting in the jail, not too far from him.
Are you confident that you have everyone involved in the ring, or that Corey may have other people that he knows inside the jail?
We are pretty confident. We will continue to investigate inside that facility. We have several detectives in there right now. We will continue to conduct shakedown and searches and make sure that we have everyone involved.
As far as you know right now, you said there were 4 meets, and it was 25 per meet, or was it 100 per?
Basically, no, about 25 a meet. She received $100. That was it for 4 different meetups, and to me, that's a heck of a price to pay, right? To land in jail, especially a woman who was 64 years of age who has never been incarcerated before. It's really mind blowing to me, but that was a choice that she made. Anyone else?
You don't know the total volume of what ended up being brought in?
We do not. We have traces right now. We have traces of THC once that we found in a vape pen. We have some traces of meth that we found inside of the eye containers. So not a large quantity, but enough to consume and enough to make you high. And regardless of the amount, anything that's brought into that facility is illegal, and we won't stand for it.
You said that the meth was in eye drop bottles, and she carried it on her person in. Is there anything in place that, any screening process in place to keep this stuff from getting in the facility?
No, there will be. We have a lot of trust that we put in our civilian employees. They come into that kitchen. Like I said, they do a great job. This is the first time that we've ever had a problem with someone bringing something into the facility and giving it to inmates. So, yeah, there's some security protocols that will now be put in place, unfortunately, because of her.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much.